And we're live. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday Show. And I see four faces looking back at me expectantly in the green room. It's going to be quite an interesting one today, and I'm going to get them to explain it. So first of all, I'm going to bring on all the guests that I can see, and there may be more joining. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Duncan Skelton, we've got Sally Bartlett, we've got Rona, and Claire Gillespie. Goodness me! Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. How is everyone?
Good, thank you.
Good. Now
We are all good.
We've got to find a balance here because we can have a potential of 10 guests on screen. We've got to find the balance of a spokesperson to sort of explain, what this is all about, and everyone chipping in, but without sort of talking all over each other. We can do it that way if you want. We can have absolute chaos, which might be fun. But oh my goodness me! And another one. Hold on. Hannah's in the room, ladies and gentlemen. Hannah, welcome to the Midday Show.
Hello all.
So this is the Facts Club experiment. I think, first of all, if we could get a spokesperson, maybe, just to tell us what the Facts Club experiment is all about, and then we can break it down. So who wants to be foreman or forewoman?
Shall I go? Seeing as I introduced us to one another. So
Hannah, you go for it. That's a very impressive bookcase behind you.
Including some of our own book on there. Well.
I always like to look at people's bookcases because I'm kind of nosy. So we will get a screenshot of everyone holding up the book at once. Don't worry, and I'll send you this footage later. So you're very welcome to use it for shameless marketing purposes. So tell me, what's it all about, Hannah?
So the five of us and a bunch of other people decided, coming up to 2 years ago, to join a crazy experiment,
right,
where we were all going to be anonymous and we were going to write a book together.
Right.
So
you didn't know who each other were when you were doing it?
We didn't know who each other were, not until we actually met just over about 10, 11 months ago. So we were completely anonymous for the entire writing procedure, just knew each other by numbers. And we'll talk about that later. Duncan's got some good stuff on that. And we answered questions every week. Some were about business, some were about life. All were really thought-provoking. And at the end of it all, we met and we came together and selected all the best answers and published them in a book.
This is one of the most brilliant and yet crazy off-the-wall ideas I've ever heard. I mean, how did it come about? Who woke up one morning and just thought, let's write a book with complete strangers?
A chap called David Hyatt, who is founder of the Do Lectures, and he frequently has fairly crazy ideas. This is one of his most off-the-wall ones. But he's got some others brewing as well. He's no longer... he didn't write any part of the answers in the book. He posed us the questions and he wrote the foreword. So he's still involved, but sort of more at arm's length. And we took.
So let me make sure I got this right. He got you all together. He gave you all a code, if you like, so you didn't know who each other was. Yep. Sent you through questions to write, or
by fax.
By fax, of course. I guess that by the name. You wrote them, and then what? You sent them all back to him.
We sent them all, we posted them all back to him. They got collated together. And then at the end of the year, once we'd done our full 52 weeks, we sat down and we went into pairs and selected answers for different questions. So we've all been involved with selecting the answers as well as writing them.
And at what point did you know who each other were?
February.
And this is, I'm getting my timelines confused. So this is before you... So you were in pairs first before you knew the whole cast of characters?
No, we did the pairing up afterwards. So we did the full 52 weeks. Then we met in person, and then we got together and figured out how we were actually going to turn lots of faxes and random snippets of scribbles.
What was it like?
Illustrations.
What was it like to meet for the first time? What was that moment like?
I'm going to pass it around because it's not the Hannah Show; it's the Midday Show.
well, let's go around the room. Duncan, tell us how you got involved in this.
So my involvement was my access point to this writing project initially. It was the fact that I was looking to for any structures that were going to help support me creating a writing practice. So for me, writing is a way of exploring how I form opinions about all sorts of topics. There's a leadership journey in my history. It's like, how do I expand my leadership impact? Part of that is overcoming the programming of my youth, where kids were to be seen and not heard. So like expressing opinions, becoming an opinionated. Writing is a vehicle by which I explore my own leadership. So this was a writing program. I love writing now. Writing, sharing, and the anonymity was a key piece of this project. So sharing with people who you don't know, who you can't judge, there's no biases or expectations from, just sharing into those spaces was interesting.
So that would help you write more freely, not knowing. So really writing in front of complete strangers, that would help you write more free-flowingly, would it?
Yes, absolutely. There's no risk of comeback. You're not being judged. It's, if you're writing and sharing with your siblings or your closest friends, there's that idea you're going to feel a little bit silly, that maybe they're going to judge you.
Well, they can sometimes be the worst of the lot sometimes.
Exactly. And so writing to strangers is really accepting. So like building relationships with strangers, there's another theme running through here. But to answer the question, what was it like meeting for the first time? For me, it was like moving up to a new school. There's a room of strangers and you're sort of asking, like, is this the Fawkes Club? And people are sort of nodding. We're all feeling a little exposed. And you walk into a room of strangers, there are 32 of us left at the end of the year. It's a 68% dropout rate. We started with 100 people. We finished with 32, which means that if you like statistics, with a 68% failure rate, this book was harder to produce than summiting Everest, which had a way higher success rate.
Good. That is I do love a statistic. That's brilliant. Thank you for that, Sally. So, hello, Sally. Sally Bartlett.
Is Sally there?
We seem to have.
I can see her. Sally, can you hear me? She's smiling. Sally, are you there?
Oh, hello. Yeah, I think my internet's going doolally. Apologies.
Okay, that might be the most epic delay
how did I
ever had
come
on
to
the
Fawkes Club? That's a good question. I saw a random email come through and thought, wow, that sounds intriguing. And more than anything, I was just like, how can it push my comfort zone? How can it allow me to explore creativity, potentially meet in an obscure way new people? And I had no idea where that was going to lead. And yeah, it was definitely a weird journey, both during the writing process, but more so in a way since we've actually met each other. Some for
where did you meet? The first time you all met. Where did you meet, all of you?
It was in London in February of this year. So David Hyatt, who he started Fawkes Club, that was part of the process. So you received a fax every Friday at 5:00, and you had 5 days to answer that question, and we did that for 52 weeks, and then we were always going to meet in February in a venue in London, but obviously the 100 people started, but actually there was only, I think, about 35, maybe 36 of us that actually turned up to London in the February, and we only knew each other by the numbers that we had chosen to give ourselves. So I remember kind of just walking into this room and kind of almost peeking my head around the corner, and there was a few people already in there, and it was just kind of like, is this Fawkes Club? It was like some secret sort of place, and they were like, yeah, and everyone was a little bit nervous, and then you kind of start chatting, and they'd say, well, what number? I
was going to ask, was the conversation a little bit stilted at first? Yeah,
but as soon as you then shared your number, it was like, oh, you knew them because
it's you said that about me. No, not really.
you'd read their answers for a year. You actually really knew this person. You've just never seen their face.
Yeah, what an incredibly interesting thing to do. Who haven't we talked to yet? Rona, hi.
Hi. Yeah, I saw David's email. In fact, I saw David's post on LinkedIn first. I think there was a comment, and I'm always intrigued by what he gets up to because it's always a little bit wacky. He always talks about being curious, and so I'm very curious about the work he does. And so I joined.
I'm wondering what's next. If it's chainsaw juggling on ayahuasca in Outer Mongolia or something.
You never know. You never know. Yeah. So I signed up, and I loved the fact that we had to find a fax machine. I mean, that was the first hurdle. It was one of those year-long experiments not for the faint-hearted or the weak-willed, because there were just multiple things in the way. So I haven't got a phone line. It's
probably not easy to find a fax machine nowadays. It'd be like trying to find a Betamax video player, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, eBay is a good place, and I thought that was like the simple bit. I've got a fax machine. And then I had a conversation with my husband where I said, I need to make this work. And he looked at me like I'd come out of some kind of forgotten era. I was like, why? Well, we won't have that conversation. Just trust me. It's really important. And so he actually stayed up through the night to speak to someone in Australia to work out how to get us a phone line without having a phone line. So yeah, he did his work. And yeah, that anticipation then of the Friday hum or not, if the fax came or didn't come through, was great. But to your question about how it felt to be together, it was the first time I actually felt like I might be judged, because for 12 months we had not known each other, and so we were voices, we were words on a page, and we put the emotion to the words that we read. And I did, like Claire said, feel like some people really made sense to me and other people didn't, and I was fascinated to find out who they were, to understand where their voices and their perspectives came from. But it was that moment, as Claire said, looking around the door thinking, I don't know these people and they don't know me, and I wonder what will happen next. And yeah, as ever, it was never what we thought it would be. It was a lot of fun, and then the last 11 months or 10 months have been a lot of hard work.
Yes, I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I want to know what sort of questions got answered. I mean, we talk a lot about creativity and free flowing of ideas on this show, mental health and all that sort of thing. And I guess knowing you're not going to be judged, that's a wonderful safety net, because it allows people to really go deep and really flow. Otherwise, there's that inner voice in your head going, "No, careful what you say." Particularly nowadays, you've got to be so careful what you say to people. It's so easy to offend anyone with seemingly anything now. So I reckon that must be just a wonderful safety net, for want of a better word. I'm thinking of the hairdresser. Hairdressers are typical therapists, aren't they? They spend all their time talking to the back of someone's head, and that back of the head tells them all their problems, and then to go away with a haircut and an emotional cleansing. Tell me about some of the we can go around if you want to, about the chapters you wrote, the questions you answered.
I was going to propose, Neil, that perhaps you should choose a number 1 to 52, and we can conduct a mini experiment with you. We can read out the question and give you a flavour of being in the Fax Club experiment itself.
So you want me to answer said question? You
can, or we can just read out the... Duncan, how did we do it at the launch party?
I think we just offer a question. So the invitation, there's a little context here. Part of the invitation in this whole experiment was to come from a place of counterintuitive thinking. So what happens when we slow down and sit with a question more deeply? So we take like a full week to sit with it, to think about it. And the invitation is to come at it from a counterintuitive angle, to think differently about it. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I've been looking for a way to help give people a sense of what does it feel like when something is counterintuitive. So if you're up for a quick experiment, I'd love to do this. I'm going to invite you all.
No, very much so. I mean, fold your arms. Yeah, like just fold your arms right now.
That feels sort of as natural and comfortable as it's going to be, right? So what does it feel like when something feels counterintuitive? So I want you now to fold your arms the opposite way.
Oh.
That's horrible.
I'm finding that hard to do.
Right.
That should be that one over there. I can't. Weird.
Right, and once you sort of get it, how's that feel back? Like that's kind of... Go ahead, Neil.
It doesn't feel natural.
Right. So imagine that.
Linking your fingers, but moving one along.
It's exactly that sort of thing. It's like there's not an existing neural pathway that connects all of that. So that's the invitation, is to sit with the question long enough to see if there's something in it that is a different way of looking at it. And when you have a population of strangers who are willing to talk honestly about how they see things, and you get those different perspectives, some of them feel like that. It feels uncomfortable. It feels a little unnatural. And the invitation is to stay with it long enough to see what might be there that's useful. So that's the context for a lot of these questions, is how might we answer these more counterintuitively?
I like that. Now, I think we've still got Sally, by the way. I think it says she's in the stream with audio only. Can you hear us, Sally? Sally? Maybe not. Sally, if you can hear me, it might be good just to log out and log back in. I'll see you in the green room.
Can I just say, fax machines work way better as technology.
Ironic, isn't it? Is that absolutely? But we couldn't get us all together on a fax. Well, I suppose you could get us all together on a fax machine. It's just slower. So, right, number between 1 and 52, 17.
Okay. Sorry, losing my voice today. 17, comedic timing, page 63. Weirdly, this is the question that people go to the most frequently when I ask them this one. Failure plus time equals comedy. What do you look back on now and laugh about that at the time was the end of the world?
I love this question so much.
That's a good one. I mean, comedy, I do stand up, and you're right, it is all in the timing. Sometimes absolutely accidentally. Sometimes something just happens in a comedy room or just in everyday life. I've got one, fairly recent embarrassing one. Then I'll come to Rona. Or do you want to go first, Rona? You go first.
I don't think Rona can hear the audio.
Can you hear me, Rona? Oh,
carry on, Neil.
I will.
You answer it.
Well, I went to my daughter's Halloween party the other day, and I've got a Halloween T-shirt. And recently-ish, I went to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, that involved golden hot pants and stockings and suspenders, which is not my normal attire, I can assure you. And the first question was, can I go to my daughter's party with her husband and all her friends and all his friends, who are a blend of kind of scientists and Dungeons and Dragons geeks? Can I really, as her dad, go there dressed in hot pants and stockings and suspenders? And I debated that over a couple of days. And then I thought, no, I'll just go in the golden hot pants worn over the jeans with a Halloween T-shirt. So a fair compromise, of which she was grateful at the time. I stay the night over there. And then the next morning, she gives me a lift to the station so I can get the train back. Now, this is in Reading, coming back to Twickenham. So as you might imagine, on a Saturday, there's a train carriage full, absolutely full of rugby supporters. You know, as typical rugby supporters, you know, they're not quite as loud as football supporters, but, you know, laddie in a good way, talking about the match, talking about all that sort of thing. And then I noticed my daughter had sent me a voice message, and I pressed it in front of the whole carriage. It came out, "Oh, God, you left your bloody hot pants in my car." So I didn't think it was. I mean, I'm fairly used to having embarrassing situations like that. I virtually do it for a living, so it didn't bother me that much. But for the more sensitive, I suppose that could be perceived as the worst moment ever. Oh, we seem to be losing people one by one. Rona, log out and come back in again, and I'll put you straight back on. So over. I think Rona was going to say something about that. Anyone else like to jump in there?
Yeah, Neil, I'm curious. Then, what's the wisdom that's available to you from my experience?
Good question. They say there's no failure or any feedback, and nothing happens by accident. Okay, the wisdom gained from that experience is probably not a good idea to go to any fancy dress party in golden hot pants, full stop, it's probably not a great idea not to pay attention when you're getting out of the car to get a vape and leaving them in the car. So mindfulness, I would say, is probably just be a little bit more mindful about what one is doing with one's golden hot pants, which are still, as far as I know, my daughter's car. No, she must have removed them there. They've probably been ceremonially burned in the garden now. I wouldn't blame her.
All off for sale on eBay.
Or I haven't checked. I mean, you seem to be the eBay kings and queens finding faxes, but if you find a pair of golden hot pants, that could be mine. Can you hear me now, Rona? Right, you said you love this comedic timing question, so I'll come to you if I may.
I think the comedic timing is that as you started to tell your story, I lost your audio and I could just hear everyone laughing and then Duncan's face of shock. And I was like, what have I missed? And then I walked back into hot pants. So I will forever not know what happened to the golden hot pants.
I left them in my daughter's car and played a text message on a train. I could probably find it now. I just very quickly. I stayed over at my daughter's house, and I accidentally left a pair of golden hot pants in the car, which I was wearing for Halloween. Train was full of rugby supporters. It was on the way to Twickenham, and I played this in the carriage when I saw she sent a message.
Bloody left your hot pants in my car. Just got hot pants.
So that was my Saturday morning.
Actually, what I'm learning from that is always use earphones when you're on a train with your phone.
Yeah, I would lose that. I'm so terrible at I'm very good at losing things, and those little earpods I would lose in a heartbeat. Plus, I'm distractible enough as it is. Having noises right close into my ear would not make things any better for me personally. But yeah, that's a learning you could take from that. So is that the idea? Is it like learning from all experiences here and garnering wisdom from any life experience, be it something profound or profane like golden hot pants?
Yeah, I think for me that I found that question quite hard when it came in. But I think for me, I took from that yes, there's going to be hard things that happen in life that at the time you are just going to feel awful about. But actually that later on, that will be the thing in 20 years' time with your grandchildren. And they'll be like, oh, do you remember when Grampy left the golden hot pants in the back of my car? These things become the funny stories. And so I think even...
he's telling the hot pants story again. Oh, no.
Yeah, here he goes. So it kind of lightens things up a bit. But I think what I really loved about Facts Club is you spend a lot of time thinking up your own answer, but it was reading all the other answers as well. And everybody had such different perspectives on things. And sometimes I would find a question really hard, and then I might go in and someone would have come at it from a completely different angle. And I'd be like, oh, wow, I never thought of it like that. And then that would almost...
And that can be really useful in life in general, isn't it? As long as it's and again, writing anonymously would help this, but as long as it's not one of these debates where everyone's locking horns and arguing, as long as it's kind of a real open forum, it can be so useful to have other points of view in the room. And it can be those light bulb moments. It's like, well, I actually never did think about it that way.
I think you can add on to that, because I think so we were in a platform where you could see everyone's answer, and you would start to put your answers in, and then other people would be adding. So you had a choice to make. Do I not read anyone's till I've posted mine, or do I have a read and then post mine? And so you also then were gaining so many other perspectives. At the beginning, that was really hard. 100 people's answers when there was no filter of how many words you could have. Crikey. It was like, I'll just pull up a chair for 5 hours and have a read. And then as we went on, we put some limits on word count. And then as the numbers dropped, what we still got was a lot of different perspective. And this question in particular, what I found interesting was, for many people, there was this emotional rush of how they felt back in that day, and sharing the story. And for some people, they couldn't even share the detail of the story because it still felt so strongly to them. So in some ways, it was helpful to understand how different people have experienced that in their lives, and probably.
I do have another one which I won't bring up here, but because I've only known you all 25 minutes now, and that's not long enough to tell this story, but it was mortifying at the time, and I do laugh about it now, but at the time it was mortifying.
It's obviously still a little bit mortifying if 25 minutes.
But remember, Hannah, I do comedy for a living, and I make a fool of myself on the radio every day, doing a breakfast show. So I'm not that. To me, it's just content, it's material. I think it's funny. I'm only holding back because I don't know you guys that well. It might not be the appropriate time to start telling stories like this one. But no, it doesn't mortify me, though it did at the time. It doesn't mortify me now. I'm over it. Give us another number. Or shall I pick another number?
Yeah, go for it.
49.
49, bear with.
Got a little comment here from Dennis. I think Dennis is making a political protest. Bring back Guy Fawkes. We need him more than ever. Did you know that fireworks were invented in ancient China by chucking bamboo shoots on bonfires and the air exploding and crackling? That's how fireworks were invented. Did you know that?
I knew they were invented in China, but not exactly how.
Because the Chinese are still very big on their fireworks, aren't they? And it's copper that makes the blue colour. Apparently, blue is the hardest colour. There's a lot of sort of fireworks scientists around the world trying to get the perfect kind of beautiful blue, and they haven't quite mastered it yet. Just thought I'd throw that in. Anyway, 49.
There's a little story about Penn and Teller, the renowned magician duo.
Yes, actually, my daughter went to see them about 2 weeks ago, and she said they were amazing.
So in this particular card experiment at a cemetery, they got you to pick a card, and then the magicians lead you to the cemetery. There they found the grave inscribed with the words, "Is this your card?" along with an image of the 3 of clubs, the card you picked. The easy bit was getting you to pick the right card. The hard bit was getting permission from the graveyard, getting it inscribed, and waiting for the grass to grow over. Sometimes magic is just someone spending more time on something than anyone else might reasonably expect. How can you apply the principle of investing disproportionate effort behind the scenes to create magic in your work or projects in the coming year? So disproportionate effort for magic.
And by magic, you mean unprecedented results that you wouldn't have got before?
Yes, or just extra customer delight. People who maybe you're not charging anymore, maybe you're not doing any more business, but they love you more than ever before. Wouldn't dream of going anywhere else.
For me, as a DJ, I would make it personal. The best clients I work with, I'll have a meeting with them beforehand. Let's say it's a wedding, find out what they like, what they really like, and then take some photos and video on the night and put a little montage together as a memento of the night. After this show, I will send Hannah, I guess, or any of you, the footage as well, which makes it like a, so you remember the morning, we got together and we had that chat, and you got some footage as a little memento of it. So perhaps some memento makes things mementos. I don't know. I think of these cheesy things. That sounds like a radio jingle waiting to happen, doesn't it? But and gives more momentum, possibly. I don't know.
Can you share some of the answers in the book, Hannah? Because it's quite a tricky question. Some of the questions were, you really had to. I would sit and think about them for days. And then maybe something might come to me when I'm driving the car and I'd be rushing home to try and get that down on a piece of paper.
Now, that's a phenomenon, isn't it, Claire? Because Einstein said he had his best ideas in the shower. And what he means by that is it's when you're, and this is why I hesitated slightly, because there is a brilliant question that it is, but there is the danger of hyperfocus and overthinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you come on when you're in the realm of creativity, it's more about, it's a balance between putting it out there and letting it come back, put it into the universal computer, if you like, the unconscious mind, I don't know, whatever we want to call it. But and so there's a putting it out there, but then an allowing of it to come back in a kind of higher form or solved form, in my opinion. But if you could do that, and then suddenly the answers do just ping in your head. It's like when you're trying to think of someone's name, and then 2 days later when you're doing the dishes. Ah, that's it. And it just comes out of absolutely nowhere. So I'm familiar with that phenomenon, Claire.
And for me, part of that was David's original intention running this experiment with facts. Part of it is eccentric. So it's very sort of self-selecting people signing up. But the analog technology, the sitting slowly, like in a world where we're constantly scrolling on feeds and everything's very surface level and instant gratification, this like sitting longer with something where we don't have patience, we don't have focus, but just sitting with it and allowing it to simmer. And like not just
we
the
need
first
that.
thought,
We need
thought.
more of that. That would be a big takeaway I've had from this conversation, Duncan. We need more of that. We need the patience to be able to sit with something, you know.
Yeah. So going below the surface, not just taking the first response, but then asking, and what else? And what else is here? And
what else is possible?
Peeling a few layers down, like what is this leading me to? Because for me, like the creative, and you tell me, Neil, as a comic, there's a creative process. And for me, like as a runner, like you don't just go for a run, you have to warm up and stretch and sort of get ready.
Exactly.
And so it's like sort of sitting longer with is like a version of the warming up before the actual performance.
Yes. And getting yourself in I would say, receptive mindset. Yeah. A sort of a yielding yin sort of mindset rather than an active yang one, I would say. They're both at their place, but I think we use a more assertive one a bit more than we should, and I think a lot of us are cutting off a lot of wisdom from ourselves by not being able to do exactly that, being able to sit with it. So back to that question then, what were some of the answers that you came up with?
I'm going to pick number 32.
Welcome back, Sally, by the way.
This is literally how I live my life. I'm a musician and mix engineer. My life is inundated with potential client meetings, the expectation of doing highly skilled work for exposure, and chronically thinking about how best to market myself and my music. However, I have a relentless faith in the quality of my work and my purpose that I keep on. I keep on every single day, working on my craft in the studio. It's very isolating at times. Often people talk about AI and its implications for the music and artistic industries. However, I think that someone spending hours on their craft will become even more valuable and sought for, like a needle in a haystack. People, especially the younger generation, are moving towards analog, virtuosity, and away from cheap sounds. This brings me hope. I continue. I would anyway, regardless. Virtuosity is not something you can fake on a surface level. People hear it.
Very good. Yes, very, very good. I like that.
The book is full of those sorts of nuggets. Yeah, some of them are considerably longer. I've purposely chosen one of the shorter ones.
Thank you. Sally, welcome back. We're just picking numbers and getting some of this. I'm picking numbers and I'm attempting to answer the question and then getting you guys answers the better ones. So welcome back. That's what we're doing.
Nice to be back.
I read your private message. You're very welcome to be back. Another number. Unlucky 13.
Unlucky 13. Feel free for someone else to do this. This is Let Them In at page 49. It's 8:30 a.m. You drive past a lay-by with a big lorry parked up. The back doors are open. In the cabin, the driver is fast asleep. In order to keep thieves out, they let them in. How can you use this thinking in your business or life to help you achieve what you want by doing the opposite?
I just love that the questions make you go, oh, okay. That's really hard.
Thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I can see your brain hurting, Neil.
Two things spring to mind there. Okay, two things spring to mind. Number one, you've got some crappy old thing that you don't want. So you deliberately leave it out, hopefully, like an old bike that you don't want or something. So you deliberately leave it where you know it's going to get nicked, saves you a job, that gets you what you want. Okay, maybe that's a bit surface level. And also, if I'm this computer that I'm on, sometimes if I go out and take it out, I won't take a computer bag. I'll just put it in a Tesco's plastic bag because no one will know what it is. So I'm giving the impression that I've got absolutely nothing worth stealing. So that gets me what I want and keeps my computer safe to some degree. That's not bad off the top of my head, is it?
Nice.
Not bad at all.
I'm feeling the love. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Fats. I'm feeling the love.
And it takes a willingness to talk out loud, as you don't know the answer yet. You're just exploring it and giving words to it. So there's a lot of trust in that space too. So I appreciate your willingness.
I appreciate your appreciation, but I would call it more recklessness after far too many years on the radio. Sally, how about you? How would you answer that one?
Do you know what? That's one that stumped me. But that was the beauty of Facts Club, was that we had a week to respond to these questions, but you'd sit there and you'd be like, I just don't know. I just haven't got an answer. Or you'd write something down and then you'd reread it and then you'd be like, oh no, that doesn't sound right. No, that's not quite what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't really quite answer the question, because you'd end up in some random rabbit hole of something, or you'd have about 6 answers and you're like, which should I put? What should I put?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, it was. And then you'd read other people's answers and you're like, oh, wow, how did I not think of that? That's brilliant. And I think the whole book is full of stuff like that, where you read them and you're like, oh, that's genius. That's a brilliant answer.
Can we hear one of the best answers to that one? What's the best answer?
Yeah, what's good?
I've got to find it again. I've just closed.
Come on, Hannah. You're being very, very good as librarian today. Thank you. You got the perfect backdrop for it.
I have number 18. I have limited time and time is what I sell, but I let people pick my brain for free. Some people think that giving away good information, think it is giving away good information. Charge them for it. I see it as leaving the doors open. I will not run out of value. They might take something and use it, but if they want the real keys, they will come back. Time and insight are money. But for me, I think of it as, if you let people see the first 10 minutes of a great movie, will they really walk away satisfied?
Oh, I love that analogy at the end.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the themes that came up for me in this question and a few of the answers from the 32. There's something about the theme of like giving of ourselves, giving stuff away for free. Because in a world of increasing automation, there's like the particles people can get on ChatGPT or anywhere these days. What we can't get is that sense of relationship. And you spoke to this, Neil, with music. It's that experience of being in relationship with somebody that somebody remembers for years to come. The actual particles of generating a playlist, people do that for themselves every day. But it's something about the being in community, being with people.
Very much so. It brings a personal. Most of the high street banks are shutting now, aren't they? I mean, you know, my local bank, you have to go right into Kingston. I live in New Malden, southwest London. You know, and there used to be like loads of them around, and 2 branches shut down here. There's no kind of personal relationship anymore. You can talk to Cora, which is the virtual assistant online, you know, but again, that's just AI, and not a very good one actually. Now that's a brilliant idea, because in all the seminars that I've attended on entrepreneurship, it's always give value first, give something of value, give an ethical bribe almost. We've all seen the things online, you know, download, put your email address in and you'll get a free download. And it's just enough to tease, isn't it? It's just enough to tease. Should we go around the table and find everyone's favorite question and answer that they answered, your personal contribution? Would that be all right?
I don't know if we could share our personal answers, because then we'll give our number away.
Oh,
we need to explain that to Neil.
Yeah, we do need to explain.
What
so we kept our numbers anonymous, so we've never spoken about who we are in public and the numbers that we hold. First rule of Facts Club is obviously not talking about Facts Club. I can't read that. What does that one say?
I'm just showing that the answers in the book are by number. So here's a page that has an answer from number 18 and an answer from number 14. So if we share our answers and you have the book, you'll be able to link our names to our numbers, and that anonymity piece becomes broken. So part of the fun of the book is
I didn't realise. No, okay, fair enough.
And what's also quite fun.
Go ahead, Ray.
I was just going to say, part of the fun is that even though we now know each other, I still don't know what anyone's number is, because that wasn't the point afterwards. The point was then about creating this community, as you've just spoken about, Neil, where this was about a bigger purpose, because we weren't giving away information to make money or get one up on anyone else, or this was just about sharing for sharing's sake and being curious about one another. And then the process of creating the book has just been, again, a leaderless team with a vision at the end that we would produce something to put out into the world to share what we did, with no expectation and no competition and no challenge, just a little gentle nudge as we went along, learning lots of new skills. So whilst we're still relatively anonymous, we're anonymous to the world, and I think still relatively anonymous to one another too.
Yeah, okay. I won't touch on that again, then. That's fair enough. I don't want to be the one that you're responsible for, busting the whole ethos of the.
Absolutely.
It's the question everybody asks us, though. Neil. We did a launch party in London, and the most asked question that evening was, "Well, what's your number?" And we just all decided, it's like, no, we don't answer numbers questions. And friends and family are like, I'm going to try and guess. I'm going to guess which one you are. And I'm like, okay, you try.
My mother-in-law got the book and she started reading it and immediately said, I was Adam, I knew straight away you were number 24 until you talked about your children, which I don't have. So I thought, well, clearly that's not you. So then I read some more and figured you were number 38. But then you talked about your husband, and your husband is my daughter, not my son. So I knew that wasn't you either. So I actually don't know who you are.
Now be careful. There's a process of elimination. I now know two that you're not. Careful, mate. Don't give away too much.
And those numbers were invented, obviously, obfuscating the truth of the matter.
Well, can I pick another number then? Because I'm enjoying these questions.
Go for it.
Right. I'll ask my producer who's in the room. Pick a number. 27.
The reverse bucket list.
No.
This is a good one.
Come on then.
All kudos to Arthur C. Brooks for this thinking. We all have a bucket list. Let's review it with a non-obvious mindset. Here's the thinking. You can increase happiness temporarily by wanting more, or permanently by wanting less. So now, go through your bucket list and keep your goals, but take away your attachment to the outcome. You remove the attachment to the result. Your focus goes on enjoying the journey. Intention without attachment. Every time you think of your bucket list, you no longer think of the result, but of the fun in getting there. Please share your 3-year bucket list and the fun its pursuit could bring you. That you might need a ponder on, Neil. It's quite a...
No, that sounds a bit Buddhist-ish. That sounds a bit like, and I've come across this concept before. Read the first bit about, could you go from the top, and I'll stop you because it was quite near the beginning, someone I picked up on.
All kudos to Arthur C. Brooks for this thinking. We all have a bucket list. Let's review it with a non-obvious mindset. Here's the thinking. You can increase happiness temporarily by wanting more, or permanently by wanting less.
Stop there. Okay. Now, which is the key word here? Which word is the emphasis on? You can increase happiness by wanting less, or you can increase happiness by wanting less. There's a nuance there. There's an interpretation of that, isn't there? Right. So I think if I was answering that question, I would say I think the Buddha is misquoted, because he was purported to have said desire is the root of all suffering. Therefore, there's a lot of thought in that kind of thought system. Well, you shouldn't desire, you shouldn't want, you shouldn't blah, blah, blah. But I think what he meant was craving. And I think what he was saying is that happiness is an internal state, is an internal mindset. And from that place, you can enjoy it, like you say, the joy of the journey and the learnings along the way and what you become along the way, without having to have something to be happy. Because there's an awful lot of people chasing the next goal, but making themselves really unhappy doing it. So when they arrive there, it won't make them happy because it wasn't a happy journey.
I completely agree. And there's also that notion of putting all the emphasis on the end point, and therefore not appreciating any of those steps. And even when you get to the end point, realizing it wasn't what you thought. So I'm launching a new project with a friend, and we have no idea what we're going to do or where we're going. All we're doing is getting together and saying, what do we want to feel like in this process? And let's work out where it takes us. And it's completely liberating. It's not like I need to make £1 million or whatever it might be. I need to be this or that. It's just
Because you're right, you've touched on something there, Rona. Because that's fun, and the fun factor's there, and the science is out now. Fun is productive, happiness is productive, pleasure is productive. Nose against the grindstone is less so. So if you've got a fun factor and you're not attached to the outcome, which does sound a bit ancient, but I know what you mean, or not having to have something to be happy, then you'll be happy, and it's much easier to do things and probably achieve things when you're happy. I would say, right?
It's kind of how this process.
I've got a perfect. So it's a state of being that you're seeking, really. And this is the whole ethos. If you boil that question down, it's a state of being, isn't it? Saying, if I do this, I will be happy. And it's reversing it. It's be happy and then do what makes you happy. I've got a perfect tagline for your project, Rona. Don't be a doer, do a beer. You're welcome.
Just going to trademark that. Thank you very much.
What was coming there?
Anyway, what's your thoughts on that question? That was just my conniptions.
I had a brilliant. Oh, go ahead, Claire.
No, I was just going to say, when you were talking, it was making me think about how it actually really relates to the whole Facts Club process, and actually very much the process that we've gone through with turning the experiment then into the book, because we had this loose goal of produce a book, but actually that was it. And the whole journey has been very much like, what if? And it's been really playful, and we've done most of it through WhatsApp, and we've just been chucking in ideas, and it was based on who's got the energy at the time, who's got the idea, run with it, see what happens. It was very sort of loosey-goosey. And then what I love is, we did it. We launched this book. It was a bestseller on Amazon in the US and the UK by 3:00 in the afternoon that day. And we were like, oh, we've done it. And we had a sort of a Zoom on I think that was the Wednesday. And on the Friday, we had a Zoom meeting. And I think someone in the group said, actually, well, that's it. We could all just go our separate ways now, because we've done what we set out to achieve. But actually, nobody has. We're all still in the group. We're all still talking about what could we do? There's lots of ideas coming in. Everyone is still in it, and we don't really have a plan. So it just got me thinking about how very much that has been the process.
But it worked. The fact is, and I've got a really interesting question to ask. It's a bit of a kind of a sliding doors question, if you're familiar with the movie. If it hadn't been, to use your words, which I love, loosey-goosey, if it had been, more righty-tighty and more regimented and more left brain, shall we say, if you like, would it still become a bestseller? There's a good one.
I think we'd have lost people along the way, because
Yeah.
the freedom of it meant that we've stayed together. There's 32 because of that, I think. That flexibility, adaptability, and just dipping in and out and doing what we want to, what we can, when we can, has really helped. So I think we'd have definitely lost the fun along the way, and I think we'd have lost some great people too. And that's been the thing for us, has been about keeping the 32 together for as long as we can.
Because it's not a small thing having a bestseller overnight.
It's not a small thing keeping 32 people on the ship either, in the sense that
it's probably like herding cats.
It is herding cats. We have some amazing little whistlers that herd some of the cats sometimes for certain things, and that's what you always need, is a few people that know a few little tunes to keep you in the right direction, then loads of great ideas. And you think, and a bit like the book, you hear people speak and you think, wow, that is amazing. And I've also noticed people are learning things about themselves they didn't know beyond the book, skills that they've got, expertise they've not necessarily recognized, talents for all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And
that's a wonderful thing, though.
Awesome.
Isn't that, Rona? Isn't that just a brilliant thing, though?
Yeah.
To discover other people and yourself and learn more about yourself and bring a brilliant creative project into the world. Yeah. And I didn't know it was an Amazon bestseller overnight. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, because we've got some people in the group who have got certain skills that could have really helped at certain points in the process, but actually they made the decision that they didn't want this to be their day job. They do their job. This was a completely different outlet, a creative outlet for them. So it's like, okay, well, I do that 9 to 5 every day. I don't want that identity. And here I want to be more playful. Here I want to have a go at something I've never had a go at before.
Right. And as I said, the science is out. Play is productive. That they've done scientific studies on it. An attitude of lightheartedness, play, joy, all those. Can't think of the word. I mean, that they'd have been laughed at a while ago. It would have been dismissed as new age nonsense a while ago, but it's actually not. It actually isn't.
The funny thing now is we still don't know what people actually do in their day jobs. We still find ourselves going, what do you actually do? What are you free today? Where do you work? What is it you do? And I'd love that.
Go on, Duncan.
I know what for some of this group here, like I know when you feel most alive. I don't necessarily know what you do and get paid for, but I know where you feel alive. I know some of your preferences around cheese flavors, but not necessarily the work that you get paid for.
And is that a secret as well? Is that a secret as well?
Well, when I walked into the room, I know I had beef with somebody that was wrong about mature cheddar not being as good as mild cheddar.
Well, whoever said mature cheddar is not as good as mild cheddar, I'm with you. That's completely wrong. A good crumbly mature cheddar every time. Mild cheddar is like plastic. Sorry, not having it. No, raise your hands for mature cheddar. Let's take a vote. Mature and yay! I don't know who this person was, but what do they know?
and embracing their different perspective and going, hang on a minute. How is it that you see this differently from me? Like, so if people are angered by any of the answers, then I think we all consider that a success too. It's like, what is it about that answer?
Do you think it is good to sometimes ruffle people's feathers in a good way? Because surely the universe is big enough for every opinion, even if we agree with them or not.
That's the beauty of the answers in the book as well, is that we've purposely tried to not put all the answers to each question that was similar. We purposely tried to get diverse opinions or answers that would spark maybe a bit of controversy, maybe a bit of like passion. Maybe.
But you're right. Isn't that how growth happens, though? Because if everyone was the same, if we all agreed on absolutely everything, wouldn't that make us just a load of clones?
Yeah, part of the problem in the world today, though, is that because people's feeds on social media are so curated to what they want and to see, I think that people are failing to understand difference in the nuance that it brings. So when something looks different, sounds different, they're like, oh, that's quite threatening. And so
exactly, you hit the right nail on the head. People feel threatened by it. But, there's, 6 of us on this call. We've all got different opinions about things. And I personally don't feel remotely threatened by anyone's opinion. And I hope you don't as well.
There's a great chance to learn. It's the art of listening.
Well, that's it, and that's what they miss out. They miss out on the learning because we all meet people that are so stuck in their ways and are so rigid in their belief systems or BS, how you want to phrase it. You know what I mean? Then there's no wiggle room for them. They can't access that creative bit or even appreciate differences. Can we do one more, please?
I'm going to suggest one based on that conversation. Question 43: walk in their shoes. For 1 week, take the opposite view to one of your beliefs or worldviews. Read only their media, listen only to their podcasts, make only their arguments. Walk in their shoes and try to understand why they think this way. It was quite a difficult. Yeah.
And did you all do that?
Yeah. It was really hard.
Can I ask what belief system you adopted when you did it?
No, because that might reveal numbers.
Damn and blast.
Nice try.
No, I wasn't trying to do that. No, I wasn't.
This one made me question, though, like what my belief systems were and what I disagreed with. So inadvertently, even without actually trying to walk in someone's shoes, I was like, well, what do I actually disagree with? And I'm pretty good at being pretty easygoing and getting on with most people. And I was like, oh, but what about that? And what about that? And all of a sudden it makes you think very differently. And that's what lots of the questions were like. Read, I was going to say, Hannah, I'm sure there's some good answers in that one.
And one of the things this had me do, Sally, was do a little audit of how I consume news. Like, what are my sources that I typically go to? So while I felt a huge amount of resistance in entertaining somebody else's perspective, and this was like a political perspective for me, I did sit down and do an audit of where do I look to get my sources of information? What am I missing? Where should I look? Because if I want to engage and advocate my point of view with somebody that believes something differently, it doesn't help if I'm only speaking my language. I want to be able to speak their language. So how do I understand their perspective? What is it that they see as the challenge? How do I get into their head, their world? So I did an audit on where I get my information from.
That's brilliant. And a lot of people will just try and force their opinion on other people. Notice there's an awful lot of that going on at the moment. But to use that kind of communication, where you actually, as our mums used to say, you've got two ears and one mouth. In other words, listen. What is what are they really saying? What are they really saying to you? And if you can get in rapport with that person and engage with that person, even if you do quite passionately disagree with them, but that's where the solutions lie. It takes a level of maturity. I'm not sure if I could do it all the time. I don't know.
It's like there's so much conflict, and this isn't necessarily about conflict resolution, but bringing diverse people together in dialogue. Like we might have disagreements on, say, the role of television and screens for educating our kids. Yeah. But somewhere in there, we can be aligned on the importance of the education that our kids get. So this is about like how can we stay in a difficult conversation longer to find where we do align? And that's the challenge. What do we align on?
Oh, that was a gem. Say that again. How can we stay in a difficult conversation longer? So
we can find the points of alignment, because we might differ on the execution, the strategies, but we can agree that education is fundamental to creating a future that's better. We just disagree on what that education might look like. But how do we stay longer in the conversation so we can find ways together, rather than immediately going, you're wrong, I'm right, I'm dividing, and never finding a better way forward.
When I studied NLP, a lot of that. Has anyone done any NLP in the room? Yeah, you have, Rona. You too, Claire?
Yeah.
A lot of it is about communication, as you know. That's the L bit, the linguistic bit. And we were taught to say yes and, not yes but. Because if you say yeah but, you shut down the conversation. If you go yes and, you know what I mean? There's an immediate agreement, so the other person isn't closing off to you. And I don't know if they did this in the seminar you were, because every time someone said yeah but, it was nice but. It's like, and I don't know if you had this one either, Rona and Claire. However, was a sort of middle ground, and that was known as a gentleman's butt.
I really like that. Yeah,
I agree. However, it's kind of a butt, but it's not sure. It's a gentleman's butt.
It means you can never hear that word again, because when you do, it makes your skin crawl, because you think, oh, yeah, I'm with you on that.
It's been a really fascinating conversation.
I think when you read the book, it's exactly that. It's just lots of little fascinating conversations going on in each chapter.
Where can people get the book? We need to tell people this. Hannah's
the boss of this.
Over to you, Hannah, spokesperson with the incredible bookshelf.
You can buy it on Amazon. We are currently trying to get it into independent bookstores as well. We're in the process, but we don't know how long it will be. But we can send you guys a link later, which will be an affiliate link. So a little bit more goes in the pocket of the 32 and not in Jeff's pocket. But we can certainly get you that link shortly, or in a couple of weeks in all good bookstores.
All right, fair enough. Can you all hold up your book? I want to take a screenshot of this.
So this is where I'm going to have to hold up an orange T-shirt instead.
That's all right.
If you put us next to one another, I'll do that so that she can
I have a good excuse. I'm actually a ski centre.
What on earth are you doing? Well, skiing, presumably.
Well, yeah. I should turn the video camera around and show everybody. Look.
You should do.
My mobile.
You really are.
Look.
Oh, look at that. Well, that was a big reveal, wasn't it?
So, we all come from extremely weird and wonderful different walks of life.
But that's just what makes life interesting. And
exactly. That's what makes the book definitely interesting, and everything we're doing about it now.
Well, Hannah, thank you so much for introducing me to this bunch of wonderful people, including yourself, Duncan and Claire and Sally and Rona. And it's been absolutely lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much for all being in the room. And thank you for being on the Midday Show. If you get involved in any other weird and wonderful things, let me know, and we'll have you back on, individually or collectively. I don't mind. You know where to find me now. The Midday Show. I will send you, Hannah. So is it your email? Can you ping me your email address, Hannah, and I'll download this and I'll send it to you, and then perhaps you can forward it on to everyone else if that'd be all right.
Awesome.
Perfect. Or maybe send it straight to our Facts Club Experiment email address. I'll sort you out though. Well,
just ping me the address you'd like me to send it to, and I will certainly do that. I never heard of anything like this before. So this is a complete first for me. But what an absolutely brilliant idea! But it's undergirded some of the ideas that I've been playing with for a while. That maybe sometimes a different approach is right. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes happiness and play and free form are actually better than structure and discipline, and we kind of need both. But I think it's gone too much one way, too much left brain, too much linear. You know what I mean? But then you can get people that are very focused and very good at what they do, but dull and stuck, if you know what I mean, and burnt out at the extreme end of that. So it's undergirded some good points for me as well. Lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much.
I'm going to leave you with 2 last thoughts. You've only met 5 of us. There are 27 more that you could talk to who will have completely different answers to all of us.
Especially on cheese.
Don't start on the cheese thing again. We've resolved the Chiefs thing. Just let it go, man.
And I heard a brilliant.
I love the way we're talking about mature cheddar and all being very immature about it. Anyway, sorry.
One of them actually is an extreme cheese specialist, but that's another story.
You know what we should do? Maybe in a couple of weeks' time, 2 or 3 weeks' time, when I need another guest, we'll do this again, but with 5 or 6 different people. What do you think?
That'd be awesome.
Be good.
That'd be really, really good, because that will prove the point. That will just completely prove the point, won't it, of everything we talked about for the last hour. Brilliant. Sally,
One last word for you.
Yes.
You don't sing a song to get to the end of it. Coming back to the taking time, you're not singing a song to rush to the end of the music.
It's the gaps between the notes that give the music meaning.
So,
I think I nicked that from Deepak Chopra, but I nicked it well. It's been lovely. Duncan and Claire.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for having us.
Really lovely to meet you all. Ping me that, and I'll get that over to you. You take care. Good afternoon.
Bye.
Well, what an incredibly good show. There we go. Great show. Friday, Russ and the gang will be back. Jonathan Bass, theatre critic, and Chantal Ricard, Screen Queen, and Phil, the king of the cravats. And I'll see you next Monday and Wednesday on the Midday Show. What an interesting one this afternoon. Thank you, Dennis. I'm actually Neil Long, not Russ Kane, but that's okay. I didn't know we looked alike. There's some political protests going on. Bring back Guy Fawkes. We need him more than ever. Okay. And Stuart wants a rocket up Rachel Reeves fundament. That would be a good start. Well, I'm sure there's some websites where you can find similar content. And Liz is talking about freezing cheese. Let's not even start on that. A very good afternoon to you. Thanks for tuning into the Midday Show. Good afternoon and take care. See you soon.